stuff on this agenda. What you're going to do the podium?
We're going to start January 1
All right,
with our organizational meeting.
we got to get our stuff together. Okay.
We don't have a timer yet either.
Yeah, okay.
Podium for public comment.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the December meeting of the Grand Traverse County Ways and Means Committee. I ask you stand for the pledge, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Bonnie, will you call a roll, please?
Commissioner Rennie?
Here.
Inman?
Here.
Thomas?
Yep.
Limcool?
Yes.
Max Bauer?
Here.
Lathrop?
Here.
Wheelock?
Yes, ma'am. That brings us to the approval of the minutes of November 20th as distributed.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to approve the November 20th, 2013 Ways and Means Committee minutes. Support.
Motion by Inman, supported by Rennie. Further discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carried. Bring us first opportunity for public comment. Bonnie, if you'll read the rules, please.
Any person shall be permitted to address a meeting of the Board of Commissioners which is required to be open to the public under the provision of the Michigan Open Meetings Act. Public comment shall be carried out in accordance with the following board rules and procedures. Any person wishing to address the board shall state his or her name and address. No person shall be allowed to speak more than once on the same matter, excluding time needed to answer commissioners' questions, if any. The chairperson shall control the amount of time each person shall be allowed to speak, which shall not exceed 3 minutes. The chairperson may, at his or her discretion, extend the amount of time any person is allowed to speak. Public comment will be solicited during the 2 public comment periods noted in Rule 5.4, Order of Business. However, public comment will generally be received at any time during the meeting regarding a specific topic currently under discussion by the board. Members of the public wishing to comment should raise their hand or pass a note to the clerk in order to be recognized, and shall not address the board until called upon by the chairperson.
Having heard the rules for public comment, is there anyone wishing to make comment at this time? Yes, sir.
I look at him. You guys anything?
Thank you. Great.
Chris Redu, 2745 Green Meadows Drive, Traverse City. Wanted to come and congratulate you guys on passing a budget. I think that's great. And I'm glad you did it without passing the pension bonds. For those of you that have been against it, I appreciate it, and I think you're on the right side. And for those of you that have been for the bonds, I have this article for you, many others as well, if you're interested in private, more than happy to talk about it. But this was a research study that was done on pension obligation bonds at the College of Boston, and they found that the majority of them fail, that they don't generate the positive return that's necessary. And Oakland, which is actually the first city to issue pension bonds in 1985, they can be credited with it. They've come back to the market in 97 because the ones in 85 weren't enough to stem the problem. And now they came back again in 2012, again, to try to fill the gap because once wasn't enough. So for those of you that have been advocates of this position, I challenge you with this. I've come here numerous times, charts, graphs, other reasons why it won't work. But I dare you to give an example of where pension obligation bonds have ever succeeded. A city, a county, a state. Cite one where it's ever worked. And you're going to find it very difficult. But I can give you a lot of them where it didn't. Oakland now has come back to the barrel 3 times because it hasn't worked the first time, the second time, so they had to come back again. Now they're at the point where they're issuing bonds just to cover the interest and the payments for the bonds that they issued in the past. That's where they've gotten to. Refinancing of the refinancing of the refinancing because it's not working. Stockton, California filed bankruptcy last year. Pension obligation bonds issued in 2007 cited. Now they're trying to get rid of $125 million worth of bond debt and $121 million of future interest payments. not looking too good. Detroit, pension obligation bonds. Illinois, they just keep issuing pension obligation bonds, one of the worst funded pensions in the nation. So again, for those of you that are so steadfast on this position, can you please cite an example of where this has actually worked, where it's not theoretical? Because the past is littered with examples of where it hasn't. So, next week, I'm going to be gone, taking a Christmas break. I'm sure you'll all enjoy a break from me, as I will with you. I wish you happy holidays and Merry Christmas to those of you that partake. And I look forward to being here and going with you guys on the difficult discussion that's going to take place in the new year. And I look forward to looking over the budget while I'm gone. I'm sure I'll come back with some great ideas, areas where I think you can get rid of some stuff. So, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays. Thanks for your hard work. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Chris.
Merry Christmas, Chris.
Is there anyone wishing to have, anyone else wishing to make public comment at this time? Seeing none, we'll move forward with the approval of the agenda. On your desk, there is one additional item, Don Sheehan to talk about the New World Systems upgrade, and there is a corrected copy of the 2% monies to the county. Is there a motion to approve the,
And we'll have to go in close.
oh, and Chris tells me we have to do a closed session in regard to a pending litigation.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to approve the agenda with the correction of the tribal grant application, the New World System upgrade update memo dated December 20, 2013 from Don Sheehan is on our desk, and with the addition of going into closed session based on the rationale of our civil counsel,
Yeah,
Kristen Forsythe.
It's for settlement negotiation purposes.
We have a motion, do I have
Support.
support? Motion by Inman, supported by Max Bauer. Is there further discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carries. Brings us to the consent calendar. Bonnie, if you will, please.
The purpose of the consent calendar is to expedite business by grouping non-controversial items together to be dealt with by one commission motion without discussion. Any member of the commission, staff, or the public may ask that any item on the consent calendar be removed and placed elsewhere on the agenda for full discussion. Such requests will be automatically respected. If any item is not removed from the consent calendar, the action noted, receive and file, or approval, is approved by a single committee action adopting the consent calendar. Receive and file, none. Approval, number 1, IT, ESRI, GIS software maintenance support renewal. Number 2, ImageSoft on-base software maintenance support renewal. Number 3, Health Department contract renewal with Michigan Department of Environmental Quality, MDEQ. Number 4, Health Department acceptance of the 2012 annual report. Number 5, fiscal year 2013-2014 MDCH CPBC agreement amendment number 1. Number 6, Traverse Health Clinic DBA Grand Traverse Regional Healthcare Coalition Service Agreement renewal. Number 7, Sheriff's Office Staffing Plan Amendment. Number 8, Central Dispatch Letter of Support for Grant Application.
Having heard the consent calendar, is there anyone in the audience wishing to have any item removed? Seeing none, are there any commissioners wishing to have items removed? Charlie?
6B4.
That would be the acceptance of the annual report from the Health Department.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Anyone else?
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to approve the consent calendar with the exception of item 6B, item number 4, Health Department acceptance of the 2012 annual report.
Is there any further discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Gotta give us a second.
Yeah, you need a
Oh,
second.
we had a second. I did the motion.
I'm sorry. Larry seconded, I thought Herb was seconded.
No.
Larry made the motion, I thought Herb seconded it. I'm sorry.
I will.
Where are we at?
Fine.
Okay. Motion by Inman, supported by Lim Cool. Moving right along.
Whatever.
Herding cats.
Commissioner Edmund?
Yes.
Thomas? You say
Thomas?
yes? Lim Cool?
Yes.
Max Bauer?
Yes.
Lathrop?
Yes.
Rennie?
Yeah.
Wheelock?
Yes, ma'am. Okay, that takes care of the consent calendar. There are no special orders of business this evening, so therefore we come to items removed from the consent calendar. Charlie, you questioned the Health Department's annual report. Wendy's here. I'm sure she can answer all the questions you might possibly have.
I'm sure. Hi, Wendy. Love your report. Thought it was very professional. Had a question about this beach monitoring and where we stand right now with that. I know the state has changed some of the funding for that, and a lot of that went downstate. And where do you see this going forward? We need beach monitoring here.
I agree. Wendy Trute, Health Officer, Grand Traverse County Health Department. I will pass along your praise for the annual report. We have an outreach coordinator who redesigned the whole entire thing this year, made it much more succinct, so we think it's more readable. Tried to get very meaningful numbers for you. Beach monitoring, yes, there was $100,000 that was targeted at one specific research project that went state out of Oakland County. Got funding for. Oakland County Health Department didn't get funding. They were also one of the ones that lost the funding at Grand Traverse County. We agree it's very important. We have a very strong beach monitoring group that has been in existence for over 10 years. We have monthly meetings during the summer, quarterly meetings during the winter. I did submit a 2% grant, which is in your packet tonight, to try and get continuation of that funding, at least for a year, until we can continue to work with DEQ to try and get the funding restored. We will, if we don't get a 2% grant, we will continue to look for local resources just to bridge that gap. I continue to work with DEQ. They're trying to find funding. I think they realize how important it is. We know how important it is to our area as far as tourism, water quality, even, safety, because there's a lot of pathogens that can be in water. So
Thanks very much. I
that's
think
it's a big priority for us. So
very important component of our brand we're trying to build up here.
it's our #1 hit webpage for the health
That's
department.
interesting to know that.
Yep.
Thanks very much.
Listening to the radio, Ron Jolly this morning had the governor on, and that was one of the questions that he asked the governor. And the governor said, I wasn't aware of it being a problem up here, but he said he'd put it on his list. So my recommendation is that we should do a resolution here asking the governor and the state to come up with more additional funding for beach monitoring. If that's, I will make that motion.
I would second that.
We have a motion by Limco, supported by Rennie, to direct staff to send a letter of resolution to the state of Michigan asking to restore funding for beach monitoring,
Or find funding.
fine funding.
Yeah, find funding for that.
If you need language for that letter, I can
I
provide
think
that. The
if
city
you
of-
could,
the city-
I think the city did a letter.
Yes.
So we could probably, I thought I brought it with me and I forgot it. So if we could just kind of do that letter, and if you get with Chris Kramer and make sure that whatever the wording should be on that, then she can do the resolution for next week's meeting.
I can tell you the watershed district, it's one of their big priorities, and they also are working the same channels concurrently and have written letters of support too, so it's a big issue for our area.
Appreciate
We'd
that,
like to
Wendy.
back up just a second. I'd like to finish the consent calendar before we take them, before we act on a motion to direct the staff.
Take that motion to.
I'll take it.
If you'll withdraw the motion,
I'll withdraw
please.
it for this time, but I also would like to say that a great report, and I particularly was interested in the medical examiner's report that we haven't had in a number of years, and it's nice to see it as part of this report.
Bonnie, you've got the
Yeah,
withdrawn-
he normally would
withdrawn
publish it
motion.
separately, and we, since he's part of the health department,
Right.
we're including it in
And I
our,
see his contract is up as part of our,
his appointment is up for renewal,
Yeah.
Yeah,
yes.
it's in there. It's in
but
there.
nice report, well done. I don't know how you're going to distribute it, but, the community should know that it's there, it's available, and they ought to be looking at it.
It's on our website.
Yep.
We are not putting any funding to paper copies. I think everybody nowadays just knows if they want an annual report, they go to our website,
Yep.
they can view it or they can print it.
Okay.
Good.
Okay, do I have a motion to accept the annual report of the health department, please?
So move.
Support.
Motion by Rennie, supported by Thomas. Further discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carried. Now, do you want to take action in regard to the,
Do you want me to make that motion now? Motion to approve a resolution to find funding from the state of Michigan, and particularly to the governor's office, for funding for the beach monitoring. Yeah.
Okay, so I have a motion by Limco, supported by Rennie. You've got the motion, okay, Bonnie?
Yes.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carries.
That should go to each of our elected representatives,
We'll
the
send it
governor,
to all the people
and
on the
Mac,
list.
and everybody else that we
We have
normally do.
a list.
Yeah.
We can make sure they get it all. Okay, this brings us to department action items, Grand Traverse Sheriff's Office. Buck wants to check his fillings.
Absolutely. Good evening, Lieutenant Buck Monroe, Assistant Jail Administrator, Grand Traverse Sheriff's Office. The reason I'm here tonight is to request some funding for a full-body scanner. In your packet, you should have in front of you briefly describes what we're looking at. TSA has been forced to reevaluate their use of their full-body scanners in airports. And with that, they are eliminating the current full-body scanners that they're using right now. And therefore, they're available to law enforcement agencies nationwide. There are quite a few in the state of Michigan that have shown interest in getting these, so they have identified some for the state of Michigan, and we would like to jump on board with that. These body scanners are, the full price on these are $159,640 piece of equipment, which can be obtained for approximately 7% of the market value, which comes out at $11,174. On top of that, there's of course, a installation and setup fee, training that goes along with that, shipping that's involved in that, which increases the price up to $14,000 to $15,000. Now, that was at the time that I sent the packet to the board. Today, at approximately 2:15 this afternoon, Captain Hall received an email from Sheriff Blaine Coops, who is spearheading this project for the state of Michigan. There's been some changes in the cost of the item. I have made up a project cost sheet that I provided to Mr. Bott.
They do have it. It has been distributed.
And I have broken that down for you, and I'll go over it real quickly with you. The Rapiscan Secure 1000 SP is the actual piece of equipment, is the actual scanner. The $11,174.80 is the price of that. The installation, setup, and training fee, all rolled into one, is approximately $3,500. Shipping cost, I found out to be $1,387.61. $650 is a cost. Where we want to locate that in the jail, there are sprinkler heads in the way. They have to be at least 18 inches away from any object in order to meet the fire code. We got an estimate today to find out how much it would cost to have that sprinkler head moved, and that is approximately $650. So I included that cost. Here's the difference. $9,000 first-year maintenance fee is something that we weren't aware of at the time we initially submitted it, but the email today changed that for us. So there's an additional $9,000, and here again, that is just for the first-year maintenance fee, for a total of $25,712.41 that would need to be approved for this project. Once this project is approved, we can get a RAP grant, reimbursement through MMRMA for $7,500, which would bring the cost of the project to the county $18,212.41, which, in talking with Mr. Bott, he has identified the funding within the jail budget to cover this. And I'm available to answer any questions that you may have.
Larry?
Yeah, just a quick question.
Can we have a motion a second first and then have the discussion,
Okay, I'd be
please?
happy to make a motion to approve the jail full-body RAP scan project as presented by the Sheriff's Department dated December 18, 2013, for a total of $18,212.41.
I have a motion, do I have a second? Sure. Motion by Inman, supported by Thomas. Discussion. Larry?
Yes, just curious how you see this, if you're going to obtain this equipment. how you see it working within the sheriff's department in the, I'm assuming it's just going to be in the jail portion. Is it going to be screening everyone that comes in the building, or is it just going to be screening the prisoners, screening the individuals that want to come in and visit prisoners, visit day, or how do you see this thing working within your department?
It will be used for new arrests and current inmates.
Okay.
Having the public go through it for visitation, we don't believe that it would be something that we'd have to do.
Okay, so is this going to be in, like, through the Sally Port when they come in? Is that what you're
It'll
going to
be
do?
in the intake area, yes, sir.
Intake area? Okay, all right.
Don't they have one of these at the airport that you could bring right over here, that they're not going to be using anymore?
Well, not exactly.
Dean, you wanted to make a comment?
I know that you have a rather large packet tonight, but just to point out on page 2 of Lieutenant Monroe's memo to the board, in one fact, the fact that MMRMA is willing to give us a RAP grant, which is a risk avoidance grant, is huge, because they feel that this will greatly reduce the risk in our liability exposure in our correctional facility. So that is a big thing to them, and that's why they're willing to put that funding toward this. There were other items that Lieutenant Monroe mentioned, and I'm not going to go into those details, but I just wanted to point that out. I mean, this will potentially help us manage that risk and the liability that we have in that facility, so that will pay dividends down the road.
Other questions? Charlie?
This first-year maintenance fee, is that a yearly fee, or is that 1 year only?
That is for the first year. Additional year after that, I believe they quoted $1,800 a year.
I know it was different numbers than it was in your original write-up there. That's okay. One other question. When are you going to use this machine? When people come in to be incarcerated, or while they are incarcerated?
Both.
Okay, does our legal counsel see any infringement on personal privacy or anything with any of this kind of stuff?
No, they, in fact, we have been getting warrants from the jail for inmates or persons visiting the jail trying to smuggle in drugs. And something like this would cut down on those type of incidents. But if you're concerned about any Fourth Amendment, illegal search issues, we really don't see that as being a problem here.
Even on a repetitive basis, for example, if someone has been on site, let's say, not an issue?
No.
I think the idea of this with current incarcerated inmates is just to make sure they can't pick up any weapon or anything else. If we walk them through it, we're going to know that right away if they did. No shivs or such things can be created and not be detected just by running them through it.
I go to Pugsley, and they issued tasers out there here recently, and it made a huge difference for everybody, I might add. And
Oh, yes.
the idea
Yes.
of this sitting there, to me, is kind of like, a warning, if you will. Don't be trying to get something in here.
We used to
So
say
I think
like
that
a long
has some
time
great
ago.
idea. I do.
We currently, for those who are incarcerated, sentenced inmates, we do have the Fourth Amendment, it's very clear that we can strip search them just on suspicion, reasonable suspicion of them having anything. Fresh intakes, new intake individuals coming into jail, they're treated a little bit differently, and that's where this scanner is really going to benefit us. We don't have to worry about cross-gender clothed body searches, clothed pat-downs, a strip search for an individual coming in off the street. We don't have to worry about that anymore. Even, it's going to detect things that may be placed in body cavities, to where before we were very limited on that. You needed a search warrant in order to do a body cavity search, and then you had to get a doctor to perform the search. So it's going to benefit us in security and safety for not just the staff, but for the other inmates as well.
Okay, great point. Hey, I got one kind of digress question. What's it like having the name Buck during deer season?
That's a nickname my father gave me years ago. I don't know where he got it from.
If I'm out in the woods and someone says, "Hey, Buck," I'm ducking.
I'm careful on who I hunt.
Okay.
Dan, did you have a question?
No, he asked it.
Okay. Dean?
Just one, and Captain Hall and Lieutenant Monroe
That's so
can
funny.
correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe, based on the email that we got at 2:15 this afternoon, that we have to make a decision on this by Friday?
Friday, yes, I'm sorry, I didn't
I
know
This
that.
is the immediate approval.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to amend my motion that this would be an immediate approval of the Board of Commissioners.
Okay? And the second's okay with that?
The second's over there.
Okay, because it's immediate approval, I'll ask for a roll call vote, please, Mike.
Thomas?
Yep.
Limkul?
Yep.
Max Bauer?
No.
Lathrop?
Yes.
Rennie?
Yes.
Inman?
Yes.
Wheelock?
Yes, ma'am.
Congratulations.
Great, thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I think you missed a couple items that were pulled from the consent agenda.
No, it's just one.
There was only, I thought you pulled seven.
Just one.
No,
Six
there was
and
only
eight.
one item
No,
pulled.
six.
There were two additions, but there was only one item
Oh, all right, okay.
pulled.
Thank you.
Okay, this brings us to the Health Department, Grand Traverse County Emergency Mass Notification System. Who's speaking to that, please?
Name is Greg Bird. This morning's ticker.
Good evening. Greg Bird, Emergency Management Coordinator, Grand Traverse County.
Wendy Trout, Health Officer, Grand Traverse County Health Department.
So, in my 8 months here, when I first started in March, one of the first things that Administrator Benda asked me to look at and some hot topics was there was a concern, if we remember back in the summer of 2012, I believe, with an escaped inmate. And one of the concerns was the safety of the county employees as well as the general concern for the public of being able to notify. No one in this building knew that there was a prisoner escapee, and it was quite some time before the word got out through the normal press. That was concerning to me as well. And then when I started asking questions and doing an assessment through the county, talking to 911, we have no way in this county of notifying our citizens, our visitors, our employees, even down to the fact of if there's an EOC activation, if there's an emergency response team activation, there is one dispatcher that single file has to pull out a paper copy or get on the computer and start dialing by hand up to 30 or 40 people. And if I don't answer my cell phone, they have to look up another number and keep calling. It's very labor intensive, as well as during the Brown Bridge Dam flooding, there was no warning that went out to the citizens that lived in that area. If we have a severe thunderstorm warning, if we have a tornado warning, there's no way to get the word out. We don't have sirens. There's just no notification system. So I started investigating and looking into, I'm very familiar in my previous career in Maryland of mass notification systems. Over my career, I've been involved in some hanky ones that I think there's still warnings going out from a tropical storm in 2008 back there. People are still getting a phone call from it because it takes so long. But in the process of the investigation and trial basis, we identified one that I believe is the answer for Grand Traverse County. Mass notification system, it is a very simple process that's computer generated that let's use the scenario of Cherry Fest, and we have to evacuate 350,000 people. These people are registered in the system. 911 or myself, we simply dial up an evacuation notice and send it out. It goes in minutes. You can notify thousands of people in minutes. In the event we have to activate the EOC, dispatch, short-staffed, they turn to the computer, there's a canned list, they put EOC activation, click send, and it goes out. Instantaneously, I'm able to get a report that shows me what representatives received that notification, what representatives didn't answer, what representatives aren't available or can't respond. The messages are sent out via phone, so you can hear voice, via text, via email, and can be linked very easily to all of our social media platforms that we're sending out one message and it's going. In addition to the emergency part of it, which is the most crucial part of notifying our citizens and visitors, the non-emergent side of it, boil water notices. The schools will be able to partner with us potentially and use it for lockdown notices or school closings, Right now, I was amazed that our school systems don't have a way to notify if schools are dismissed early or if they're closed, except by posting a notice on their website and going through the TV systems. This would be something that the system for Grand Traverse County would allow us to do very efficiently and adequately. So 2 weeks ago, or right around Thanksgiving, we had all the bad weather, flash flood warning. I've been able to test drive the Code Red, the system that we're looking at, mobile application on my phone. I received the flash flood warning 8 minutes before 911 Center received it through our conventional means of receiving warnings.
I also had access, and I received it, I think, probably 6 minutes before my husband received it from, I think, the weather.
The weather
alert.
service. 8 minutes is a long time when you're considering saving lives or evacuating people. Very, very impressed with the system. I also did some investigation into some of the competitors on the market, and literally, my professional opinion, this system, there's nothing like it on the market. They're apples and oranges. I've used 4 different ones, and this is literally the best one as far as how we build the database, how we start out with the database, how we continuously market, how we're able to bring in visitors. I've never known we can do a simple scan feature with the technology today, and a visitor coming in the area for a week can get our warnings for just a week. And when they leave the area, they're out of the system. It follows you wherever you go. Any one of you have the system on your phone. If you retire to Florida or you go on vacation and something's happening to your address at your house, you will get that message wherever you go, as long as you have cell service, email service, phone service. It integrates with our hazmat software. So if we have a hazmat in town, the fire department goes out and notifies dispatch of a placard and a program called Cameo, which is software plume modeling. The dispatcher or myself enter the plume modeling into this program. It automatically identifies a plume based upon the hazard, based upon the current weather conditions, identifies all of the addresses and the notifications in those plumes, and knows a shelter-in-place or evacuation message to send out automatically. So in the end, it's going to make notifying our citizens and our visitors very efficient, very quick. It's going to take the labor intensity down on our already short-staffed 911 center and just afford a benefit to everybody, our employees and our visitors and citizens. There is a cost for it, and I understand the financial issues that we're experiencing in the county. And I've did some partnering. We have identified some agencies that outside of our government that are interested in cost sharing with us, or investing into the non-emergent side of it, so to speak. They wouldn't have access to our citizens' pertinent information, but they would be able to build call-down lists that automatically go through and take the labor intensity out of doing a call-down list. Schools, again, are interested in partnering with us. NMC is interested in partnering with us. Interlochen Arts Academy currently pays for and utilizes 2 notification systems for their staff. In a recent lockdown drill, both systems failed and had less than 10% of their staff notified that we were in a lockdown situation. Both systems, operating separately, failed. They are extremely interested in partnering with us in this if we acquire it. So I'm working on a cost-sharing feature. I also have a 2% grant in. I'll also be exploring a Homeland Security grant with the new funds that are out this year. The application process isn't up. Hazard mitigation is another grant program that'll open up through 2014 that I'm going to apply in. We can stack on years as we get grant funding and even private funding if that's identified. I'm not looking to make this into a profitable venture, but a cost-sharing venture that we can add this into our arsenal of public safety features at very minimal or zero cost to the county.
Herb?
Mr. Chairman, I would move that we approve the Grand Traverse Emergency Management enter into a 3-year agreement with Code Red System effectively immediately, and this is to take immediate action.
Second.
I also want to say that the Emergency Planning Group has seen this, and they were all extremely impressed and support this 100% throughout that all the people that are part of that organization. And I did have a chance to tour our TCAP's phone system, and they have a notification system that cannot match this. So this would be a nice addition for them to be able to add to their state-of-the-art phone system.
We have a motion by Lemko, supported by Inman. Further discussions or comments? Charlie?
A question, does this Storm Ready designation overlap any of this in any way?
Well, Storm Ready designation, we went through the process of, we had to have so many methods of receiving warnings. This piece will add to that. And actually, the National Weather Service, the piece where we get the warnings through Code Red comes from the National Weather Service, but the technology Code Red uses is simply quicker than how we're getting it through the cellular notification and even how dispatch gets it from the Law Enforcement Information Network. I'm very impressed with this company. They don't outsource anything. And their GIS layers, they use the same GIS software we do. All of our GIS information is easily integratable to it.
Dan?
I'm sorry, I'm hard of hearing, and now I have a cold, I hear even worse. So what is it you said it's going to cost us at the bottom line a year?
It's $25,000 a year, and Code Red does something a little differently. For their customers, once you sign a contract, as long as you continuously sign that contract annually, your price never increases. There's no maintenance fee. So we sign, our annual price will be $25,000.
Yeah.
And I worked with Jerry and Wendy. We did identify existing funding this year, so I'm not asking for anything outside the budget, and monies that were left over from the vacancy in my position from earlier in the year. And we also received some additional EMPG salary monies that also relaxed my existing budget for this year.
Okay, so this next question, this next year, almost immediately, we're going to be looking pretty hard at budget stuff. So do you see, is this worth losing something else for? Is this that valuable?
Absolutely. As well as I'm aggressively looking at annual contracts with outside agencies, outside partners, to split the cost. We'll take a number of agencies that are interested, and we'll divide a cost and cost share with them, or potentially recoup all the cost out of our budgets.
Yeah. Thank you.
Further discussion? I think it's critical that the term partner, they not only need to like the term partner, but they need to contribute to that partnership financially. All right, we've heard the discussion. Any further discussion?
Is this
Charlie?
for immediate approval? or-
Yes.
Okay.
Roll call vote, please.
Lemko?
Yes.
Max Bauer?
Yes.
Lathrop?
Yes.
Rennie?
Yes.
Inman?
Yes.
Thomas?
Yes.
Wheelock?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Okay, thank
Great.
you.
Good job.
Thank you for your work on this, Greg, because...
And I think we also
something
should
we-
recognize that Greg was in the ticker day before yesterday and talking about his involvement in the community and how he's been here for 8 months and all the different things that he's been able to accomplish while he's been here. And I just want to say thank you, Greg. We appreciate all the work you're doing.
Thank you. I couldn't do it without.
Thank you.
Human Resources. Jen's here to give us all the good news.
Yeah.
Jen Seaman, Human Resources Director. I've got quite a few items in front of you tonight. So the first one is our labor agreement with Teamsters Command. Teamsters Command is in our Sheriff's Department. It's the captains and lieutenants in our Sheriff's Department. And as I outlined in my agenda item, this unit has agreed to a number of reductions, which include the health insurance plan design changes, the increased deductible, $250, $500, co-insurance of 20%, which right now is at 0, The office visit copay will go from $10 to $20. Specialists go from $10 to $35. Urgent care from $10 to $50. Emergency room from $35 to $100. And then we're also adding a $80 non-preferred drug card, which we do not have now, and increasing the mail order prescription from 1 times to 2 times. They've also agreed to a reduction of 3 personal days that can be cashed out. Right now, they can, it's the reduction in pay or cash out for the county that's done every December. A reduction of 3% from the defined contribution retirement plan. So right now, the county matches 6%, or excuse me, 9%. It goes down to 6% starting January 1st.
That's for new hires.
For new hires, exactly, for anyone new to the unit. And then also for new hires, the retiree healthcare will close at the end of this year, and the vacation cap will be at 160 hours. Right now, there is no cap, so anyone that leaves, retires, or just leaves employment for any reason can cash out any number of hours. And recently, we did have someone that cashed out quite a few hours. So this puts a limit on that and limits the county exposure and liability, which I know Dean was looking for as well on that item. So the only increase with this unit is the 1.5% wage increase, which has been agreed to with all of the other contracts that the county has. Included with those are 4 other sheriff's department contracts. We have 5 union contracts with the sheriff's department, and only one, this is the only one that was up this year. So that is a summary of everything.
Motion to approve and make this immediate effect, but also, I have a comment after it's supported.
I have a motion by Lemko. Do I have support?
Support.
Support by Rennie. Further discussion?
I just want to say thanks to Jen, but also to the Teamsters Command Unit for coming together and providing a really good contract here. And it's a thanks to all parties coming together to create an environment for Grand Terrace County citizens. Thank you.
Further discussion? Charlie?
Just had one question on your summary here. You do say 3% from county's contribution in defined contribution retirement plan. Should that say then new hires?
Yes.
It says it should say it in the resolution. My agenda item just had a summary, effective with all new hires. So
you're satisfied to start with that?
the resolution does have it in more detail on the next page.
Okay.
Yeah, but thank you
Larry?
for catching that.
I would just like to supplement Commissioner Lemko's comment, thanking Administrator Benda, Dean Bott, and Jen, everybody that was involved in the labor negotiations and not enduring the cost of any additional labor, or legal fees and those kinds of things to accomplish what we believe to be the type of things that we were looking for in terms of concessions from our leadership, staff here at the county, and I just want to send, an extreme thank you to that group for, coming up with this agreement that will help the Board of Commissioners, Jen, Administrator, and our Finance Director address the following units coming up in 2014, and thank them for helping us set the stage, because I'm sure this was something difficult that they felt in terms of agreeing to, but on the end, they knew that we had some extreme budget issues coming up in 2014 and 2015, and I want to thank them for doing their part in assisting us to accomplish that end.
Further comment? Roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Max Bauer?
No.
Lathrop?
Yes.
Rennie?
Yes.
Inman?
Yes.
Thomas?
Yep.
Lemko?
Yes.
Wheelock?
Yes, ma'am. Second is the Teamsters General Labor Agreement, which I believe mirrors the one that we just discussed, so.
It does.
Do you hear anything else from Jen, or should we just have a motion?
Motion.
Go ahead.
Motion to approve as presented?
Support.
For immediate effect also. I
Immediate
Yes.
effect, yeah.
Yes.
And also a thanks to that contract group
We don't need to repeat the
No.
thank yous. All right. Dan?
I'm confused. Who is this for now?
This is Teamsters General. The first one was Teamsters Command in the Sheriff's Department. Teamsters General are throughout multiple units throughout the county, and Jen can give
Correct.
you a list of departments that we have Teamsters General people in.
Teamsters General is, like I said, all over clerk's office, Dave's office, finance, my office, IT, Don Sheehan's group.
Anybody who doesn't carry a gun, right?
No one in this group carries a gun. Nope, that is not in their contract.
They might carry one, but it's not part of their job.
Okay.
Yeah, they don't, yeah. So, it's a variety of people. We have about, I think it's like low 90s, mid 90s people. It's our largest union.
Okay, cool, thanks.
You're welcome.
And diddle to the same thanks.
Yep.
Okay. Roll call vote, please.
Lathrop,
Yes.
Rennie,
Yes?
Inman,
Yes.
Thomas.
Yep.
Lemkool.
Yes.
Max Bauer.
No.
Wheelock.
Yes, ma'am. And the last one would be the labor agreement with the Ask Me Group, and this is also a mirror of the two previous discussed contracts.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Lemkool, supported by Rennie. Would you just speak briefly to where the Ask Me Group is represented, what departments?
Sure. We have 6 employees in this union. It is our supervisory unit below department head level. So 2 supervisors from Commission on Aging. We have 2 from the clerk's office in this unit, treasurer's office, and yeah, is that 5? Who am I missing? And I apologize. Who? Equalization, Catherine Wallace. I'm sorry, Catherine. Yes, and equalization.
And again, I want to say thanks to them coming to the table and helping us with this.
Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Rennie,
Yes.
Inman,
Yes.
Thomas.
Yep.
Lemkool.
Yes.
Max Bauer.
No.
Lathrop.
Yes.
Wheelock.
Okay, this brings us to publicly funded health insurance contribution, Public Act 152.
This is Public Act 152. It's required that the county act on Public Act 152 each year. Basically, this act outlines the maximum amount for single, double, and family coverage. And if a county is over those limits, then the employees have to pay 20% of the premium share. Or if you're under the caps, then you can pay what the county, whatever amount the county authorizes, which our premium share is at 6%, or you can opt out of the act entirely. So this resolution would say that we are going to go with the caps, so not opt out or go with the premium share, but go with the caps. And that's an overview.
Motion to approve as recommended by the Human Resources Director.
Support.
Motion by Inman, supported by Max Bauer. Further discussion? Herb?
I noticed the list of the labor groups for expiring labor groups coming in the end of 2014. My hope is that they would come in early and get it done so we can go forward. Thank you.
Well, and we should note that had we not made the changes to our health insurance, most of our employees would have been over the caps. If we'd had taken the 51% increase, it was across and
Blue
close
Cross,
to us.
yeah.
Right?
Yep.
I think that's what I read it anyway. Okay.
I can't
we have-
remember if it was over. I'm sure it was.
I know the.
There's a lot of numbers.
The 80%
We had like an
was.
80% increase, then we had a 40%, and then we had a 60%. I'm sure it was over, yeah.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I can't confidently say that, though.
We have a motion and a second. Is there further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carried. You didn't need that for immediate approval, did you?
No. Benefits agent recommendation, we sent out an RFP in November for a new benefits agent. We received 8 responses. The committee that reviewed these was myself, Dean Bott, and Sally Dreves from my office. We had interviews with the top 2, and we are recommending Brown & Brown out of Saginaw And
Saginaw or Central Michigan?
their title is Brown and Brown of Central, their official title is Brown and Brown of Central Michigan, but they're located in Saginaw.
Oh, all right.
And our recommendation
Their
is,
definition of Central Michigan's different than yours and mine.
Yeah, no kidding.
yeah.
Mr. Chairman, I would move that Grand Traverse County enter into a 3-year agreement with Brown and Brown as the agent of record for Grand Traverse County. I'm being repetitive here. And to authorize the Director of Human Resources to enter into this agreement on behalf of the county.
Does this have to take immediate effect?
No,
Okay.
unless you want to.
We have a motion, do we have support?
Second.
Motion by Max Bauer, supported by Inman. Further discussion. Charlie?
Jen, could you give me an explanation, or the people an explanation of exactly what this function is?
Yeah, absolutely. Explanation of the people, meaning at the agent.
Why we need an agent, I
Yeah,
think is what he
essentially.
said.
What would an agent of
What does he
record
do?
is?
What do they do?
And Dave can, I'm sure, can add based upon his experience with this as well, on the other side, having been on both sides. But an agent works hand in hand. They're like an extension of the Human Resources Department. They send out the bids for our health insurance, working with Blue Cross Blue Shield, Priority Health, Aetna, all those on the health insurance. They do the dental insurance. They do the vision, if we need it, life insurance, disability. They work very closely with all of those providers. So if there is an issue, if an employee's claim gets rejected, things like that, they also help come to resolution for those claims. They also work with us for all the different laws. Public Act 152 is just one of them. With healthcare reform, there is a ton of stuff that we have to make sure we are in compliance with, as well as all the taxes and fees that we have to pay.
Public Act 106,
Public Act 106, Public Act 152.
bid it out.
Yep, and then we have Public Act 106, which requires municipalities every 3 years to bid out your health insurance according to set specifications. We do it every year anyway, but every 3 years we have to do it very specifically according to the legislature in Public Act 106. So they are really an expert in this area and provide that expertise that we really need. And especially with our account, with as large as our account is here at Grand Traverse County. Dave?
Yeah, that was a good description.
Okay. Further questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carries. Employee Assistance Program.
This is our employee assistance program. This was also sent out to bid, and recommending that we stay with our current provider, Catholic Human Services. They have been our provider for at least 10 years, and we have no issues with them. They were actually the lowest bid we received as well.
Motion to approve as presented.
Support.
Motion by Inman, supported by Limcool. Discussion. Herb?
So I've used this company when I had my business. It was very beneficial in many different situations, and we've gotten reports from them on a regular basis to how many people of our employees have used this, and they are using it. And so I think it's really it's another tool in the toolbox for our Human Resource Department.
It's a minimal charge.
Oh, yeah.
In regard to, our overall 500 employees.
Yeah, and I should say we've had, unfortunately, I think we're up to 4 employees that have passed away since I've been here, and I've called upon them to come in and be a grief counselor for our employees, and they do so as part of our agreement at no extra charge. So that's also been very beneficial working with them on.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, the same. Motion carried.
Thank you.
Jen.
Thank you, Jen.
Nice
Good
job.
job. This brings us to the Finance Department.
She's hard to follow
Yeah.
with all that good news, but we have.
She couldn't do that without you there.
We have our November trial balance for our main fund, the general fund, and if you look real quick at page 57, I know there's a lot of numbers here, but the bottom line is we have positive cash balances, and the revenues are ahead of the expenditures, which is rather common, at this time of year. But if you then look at the summaries on the next page, I think I'm going to just hit the highlights. We're performance compared to a year ago, in most cases, is better than last year through 11 months. You can see the increase in tax revenues, the collections are up. But obviously, the levy itself is also higher. And probably the only negative revenue item to report on is the fact that our indirect cost recoveries were down, which is a function of two things primarily. The cost plan is based on 2 years preceding, and over the course of time, our budgets have actually, we've reduced our budget. In 2012, a big item was the reduction in health insurance costs, and a lot of those expenditures and those costs are the items that make up the costs that we charge back to all of the federal and state grants where we have cost recovery. But you can see, even despite that variance, which is the $345,000 negative item, it's offset by the other revenues that are doing much better. And in fact, looking at revenues to date in December, there are several departments that revenues are over the amounts that we budgeted. The clerk, for example, is quite a bit over budget. If Captain Hall were here, I'd give him a pat on the back, because the corrections budget on the revenue side, they're $40,000 realization over what we had budgeted. And the budgets are usually based on historical performance. And the Register of Deeds, $130,000 over budget. And that's not reflected in the numbers here, but the revenue realization in the general fund is going to be really, really good this year compared to the prior year. And then if you look at the expenditures, that's a little tighter situation, it's a little closer, but you can see there's some big variances, and we can explain the variances. In some cases, they're personnel. In most cases, it's as some of the older employees retire, a lot of it's due to the allocation of the retirement cost. We still have the cost, but when you don't have those employees in that retirement charge, you can have these big savings compared to the prior year. But on the expenditure side, there's nothing that I'm seeing that causes me any concern at this point, and I think we're going to have a pretty good close when we have 2013 wrapped up. So unless you have any questions, I'll be quiet.
Okay. Have a motion to accept the financial report.
Motion to receive and file.
Second.
Motion by Lemko, supported by Lenny. Further discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carried. Budget adjustments.
Yeah, there are quite a
End of the
few,
year.
and I would ask for your approval, and also just to note that I will probably be bringing some back next week at the board meeting. It's not uncommon, we're looking at primarily department totals to make sure that we don't have departments that are over, the total amount that the board has approved. You'll see one in here for the circuit court. The circuit court activity is up, and that's covered with a transfer, or basically reallocating the appropriation from the child care fund. So they're all, in most cases, within the total budget. There are some for the Commission on Aging. Last week at the committee meeting, Georgia reported on the contribution of $25,000. So these are adjustments to take care of things like that in most cases.
Do I have a motion to accept? Charlie?
Motion to approve the budget adjustments as presented.
Support. Motion by Rennie, supported by Thomas. Further discussion. Herb?
Yeah, I just want to point out that, we always give a lot of accolades to Dean and how well he's run his department, but we also have another person in our audience here, Jerry Pugh, who with the Health Department has done just an outstanding job. And we just want to say thank you for what you're doing. Appreciate it.
We have a motion made and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, the same. Motion carried. That would bring us to the standard mileage rate.
Before I talk about that, I want to comment on the comment that Herb made. I've worked with Jerry for a long time, and one of the funds that I don't worry about to be honest, is the health fund, and that's a fairly large budget. What's that?
Complicated.
It's very complicated, and we are very fortunate to have Jerry, and I know he has a lot of support. He's got some good people that work for him, but Jerry has made my life as the county finance director a lot easier, and we talk 2-3 times a week. If I'm going to do something that affects him, he knows about it, and it goes the other way too. But I have the utmost respect for Jerry, and I really don't worry about the health department. And that's a $5.5 million budget, so thank you, Jerry.
Yep.
Okay.
The IRS just, and these notices come in very late in the year, but they made a major change in the IRS standard mileage rate. And we have traditionally and historically set our reimbursement rates for employee mileage reimbursements at the IRS rate, because then we don't have any consequences with additional compensation for the employee. And, you know, I feel that if you reimburse the employees at that rate, that's just being fair. So the rate is decreasing from 0.565 cents per mile to just 0.56. So 56 cents, and I'm asking for your approval of that, and that can go to the board meeting
I saw
next week.
gas at $2.95 today.
Wow.
Where?
We have a motion to set the mileage rate at 56 cents per mile, please. Motion by Thomas, supported by Lathrop. Further discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carries. That would bring us to the administration. Non-contract employees, elected officials.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that effective the first, that we change non-contract, non-exempt, non-contract exempt, and elected official benefit package with a reduction of three personal days to be cashed out, a reduction of 3% employer contribution to defined contribution retirement plan for all new hires as of 1/1/14, and a wage increase of 1.5% for 1/1/14. Additionally, update all policies associated with these changes.
I have a motion. Do I have support? Motion by Limco, supported by Rennie. This will mirror the contracts that we approved earlier for Teamsters General, Teamsters Command, and ASME.
The terms will mirror those contracts, yes.
There's those contracts. Any further discussion? Charlie?
I think there's absolutely no way that we can't offer this 1.5% increase for these folks that would be left alone if they accepted a freeze or a no increase. I would like to ask Dean Bott, what 1.5% across the county, as far as our employees, costs the taxpayer on a yearly basis?
For
2014, what will be the increase in cost for compensation?
For the non-contract,
The people that get the 1.5% raise, how will that affect our budget in 2014?
well, we anticipated that you would ask that question.
Why?
And based on, just for the non-contract exempt and non-contract hourly employees, and I believe there's probably over 100 employees in those two groups, and these are not official labor contracts, that's a $108,000 cost. For the elected officials, that's a cost of $8,000, so the 1.5% wage increase for these folks that are addressed in this agenda item is $116,000.
Okay, my question goes further than that. If you go across the employees of the county, everyone's getting a 1.5% increase, sort of. What will that cost? Is it like $450,000 if you look at 30 million times 1.5, or what do you do?
It's usually about 350.
The 1% was.
I thought it was 350,000.
And we did it in the budget, but like Ben said, there's so many numbers.
My recollection, it was somewhere in the range of 350,000. Just past deal.
I think you're pretty close.
We could probably just double this number here. because
Well, one thing you have to remember is that 8 of those bargaining units were already guaranteed by previous contract to get that 1.5%.
Well, my point is not that. My point is they did get a 1.5%. We offered 1.5% to the other units. We are now offering 1.5% to the non-represented. I would like to know what that 1.5% means if everybody gets 1.5% increase in wages. I believe it'd be around $400,000. I could be wrong.
I think it's going to be a little bit less than that, but I don't know without, we can
350
provide
to
that.
400 is probably a realistic number.
It's probably 350.
Thanks.
I believe last year when they indicated that was something
Yeah, I
like
mean-
350,000.
But when we put this package together, I mean, we were looking at pluses and minuses, and there are quite a few concessions in here. The reduction of the 3 days of personal time that was paid out to employees, and now they're going to lose those 3 days, that equates to 1.1%. So they're going to lose 1.1% of payroll just through that one cut. And there's also, new hires are going to get 3% less in their defined contribution plan. The matches on they're going to be paying out of their pocket for the health insurance. There's some back and forth in that, and the net overall is a concession. It's a concessionary budget package. It's less than zero of an increase when you take all the wage and benefit things that we are changing and add them all together. They're less than zero.
So the 1.5% agreement was to offset other reductions? Is that what you're saying?
Well, the other reductions in the package, the defined contribution reduction and the personal hours reduction, both of those equal greater than 1.5% of payroll.
Oh, okay.
Understand what you're saying.
And the health insurance really eats up or takes care of the increase in health insurance for this year, which was a substantial increase.
Huge.
That's a good question, Charlie.
So you got to keep it in context with you are actually passing concessionary union contracts, and with your non-union people, you're just basically doing the exact same thing with the non-union people that you bargained with the union people.
Well, I agree with, you have to be fair across the board.
Yeah, I agree.
The nature of my
It's one of
question
our-
is, we're giving pay raises, we're taking from our fund balance. Someone could argue that we're using fund balance to give pay raises.
However,
Someone could argue that.
I don't believe anyone believes that we could have gotten the concessions that we got in regard
I agree with
to
that.
personal days, reduction in retirement benefit, reduction in health benefit, without giving some monetary support.
My only comment is that we always seem to put elected officials in this, and we never include the commissioners as elected officials, and I have a problem with that. I think the commissioners should be considered as part of elected officials.
Well, that will have to be changed. That will have to be
understand.
changed in 2014.
But we could
Prior
include,
to having them instated, prior to
we can always
having them
increase our
elected.
pay, but we can't decrease.
Yeah, but we're not going to increase it, I can
Right,
say that.
we're not including, I'm not including
Just
them.
about to ask that.
Yeah.
We
Yeah,
better not do
that's
that.
frozen. That's frozen for 2 years, so. Yeah.
We do know, Sally actually costed this out, and it does not, it's a net reduction in the total budget that you have right now of 36,000, because the savings in health insurance for the 3 contracts that the board approved covers the increase in wages and salaries for the non-contract and the elected officials. It's $36,375. It's not a big number, but it's to our favor. I mean, we have, you're starting to accrue some of those savings you're looking for, but some of the bigger items that are really hard to put a cost on are future costs. Having, Jen had mentioned, for new hires coming in to those units, they no longer have, and I'm not sure if all of those units had a retiree health benefit, but Teamsters Command, you're ending the accumulation of a liability that has a huge future cost that just keeps growing and growing. So to end that benefit going forward, I'm not an actuary, I can't tell you what that is, but when I asked Jen and Dave to consider that, and the fact that they were able to do that, that's going to help us down the road. Also, I know that they did not want to reduce that defined contribution rate that the county pays for employees, but for new hires coming in, that is also a savings that's not quantified. So you're starting to accrue some savings. The fact that the employees are paying for more of their health insurance, you've heard this before, that's going to help us for years, every year going forward. So it's hard to quantify all of those costs, but at least we're not coming back and telling you that to do that 1.5% increase, we need to find 40,000. We're actually 36,000 to the good at this point, so.
All right. We have a motion made and seconded to approve the non-contract employee elected officials wage and benefit recommendation for 2014.
Could we get immediate approval on that? So
Okay?
he can get that stuff in the
And
budget?
the motion and second are okay with the immediate approval?
Modify that?
Roll call, please.
Inman?
I don't know where he went.
Oh,
No. Thomas?
Went to Florida.
Thomas?
He went to Florida.
Thomas?
Yes.
Limkul?
Yes.
Max Bauer?
No.
Lathrop?
Yes.
Rennie?
Yes.
Wheelock?
Yes, ma'am. Moving forward, appointments and recommendations. There was a discussion about the tattle recommendation last week, and the ad hoc committee met briefly prior to tonight's meeting, and Chris Max Bauer chaired that committee, and she will make the recommendation.
Yes, and the recommendation was Andy Merrick. He was present at our last county board meeting and volunteered, and the committee took him up on his willingness.
So basically, what'll happen here is that Andy Merrick's appointment will be for a one-year term instead of being the four-year term that would be a normal situation.
Followed by a 4-year term.
Maybe.
Assuming he reapplies, yes.
Yes.
Okay. Any further, do I have a motion to approve that appointment?
So move.
Okay, support? Okay, motion by Charlie, or Rennie, supported by Lathrop. Further discussion?
Are we just talking about the Tattle appointment here? Okay, thank you.
That was the only one we had
All
in
right.
that group.
Okay, well, I was looking at the next agenda item. Sorry. I'm a little ahead.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carried. Okay, I don't think there was another one in that.
One for this medical examination.
Oh, we have, Dean, do you want to talk about the, yeah, I know. About the appointment of the medical examiner, or is Wendy going to talk about that?
I think you'd rather have Wendy talk.
How long has Matt been
Greg's
the
still here.
medical
Well, you
examiner?
can delegate.
This is his fourth term, I think.
Yeah, at least that.
I don't know what number term it is. It's his first term under my watch.
A long time.
Yeah.
Does anyone have any questions? If not, we'll entertain a motion to appoint Dr. Matthew Houghton, the medical examiner on behalf of Grand Traverse County. Motion by Lathrop, supported by Limcool. Further discussion?
Yeah, do we go out for proposals from other medical examiners when we go to appoint these things? I mean, I don't know what the process is on trying to find I don't even know if there's anybody else in our area that you would do it.
You could do that. I could do it.
It's complicated. Medical examiners are hard to come by.
Yeah.
I have been doing some polling, just knowing that Dr. Houghton probably within the next term or two will probably retire, so just trying to anticipate it. A medical examiner is not someone you just find in a month or two, you know. So I'm looking at several options of, what might be possibilities. We've had a few, in our area, we tend to get more medical examiner cases for our county because we have a hospital which pulls for the whole region. And if you die in our county, so at the hospital, it becomes a Grand Traverse County medical examiner case. It doesn't matter what your residence is. So we do incur sometimes costs that would be, because we have a large hospital here, that would be larger than a normal county of our size.
Well, I remember when we first hired Dr. Houghton, I was on the board at that time, and we had an extensive search trying to find somebody to take the old medical examiner's place. And Dr. Houghton come in with some great new ideas, using some of the police department, training them to do some of the pre-examinations, and so that they know what's going on. And so he has been quite innovative to begin with, and so.
A lot of the field work is done, or on-site work is done by the paramedics with
Right.
no-fly rescue.
Yeah, he
Paramedics, yeah.
trained them and their deputy,
Right,
and he has a deaner. In Michigan, we use the medical examiner deaner system as opposed to the coroner, deputy coroner system. Munson graciously allows us to use their morgue space. We don't pay for that. Some larger areas, Grand Rapids, Detroit area, Ingham County, Lansing, have pathologists who are medical examiners, and so they actually can perform the forensic autopsies right on site. Right now, we have to send anything that goes for a forensic autopsy, which it's not a high percentage of our cases, but they go to Grand Rapids. And Grand Rapids does it for the majority of northern Michigan. It's not the norm in counties probably our size or smaller to have a pathologist. It's expensive.
Dan?
What do we pay Dr. Houghton to do this?
Oh, boy.
It's so much per case, I think it is.
There's a
Salary and
There's a
Yeah.
base salary, and then
Right.
it's so much for case. And I think prior to 2009, he was on contract, and then the prosecuting attorney at the time reviewed it and said that it's the office of the medical examiner, so it has to be a county employee, so then it switched. Jerry probably knows
Okay.
more of the specifics on this than I do.
You
That's
can't
why-
be a county commissioner and the medical examiner at the same time, can you?
Sure. Able to employ the county.
Oh, I think, okay. All right.
Dr. Houghton has a base salary of $20,000 a year, I believe. I'm just going from
It's not
memory.
worth it.
No,
And
they've
then-
been increasing your county commission compensation.
No, right.
Yeah.
In addition to that, we pay him basically for units of service performed. If it's a post-mortem exam without autopsy, he gets a certain fee. He
I
gets
see.
paid a certain fee for each certificate he signs. So his compensation totals approximately $80,000 a year. It's a little less than that.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
He's the medical examiner for Benzie Leelanau as well.
Chris?
How does he get a vacation? I mean,
You don't know Matt.
Doesn't go very far.
okay. I was just curious. It has nothing to do with the motion, so I'll hush.
Dr. Houghton used to follow all the big cigar boat races, and so he was gone for many times on that. But he seems to always be able to cover what we need, so.
He has a satellite phone.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, we have a motion made and seconded to contract with Dr. Matthew Houghton for medical examiner for the next 4 years. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carries. Thank you, guys. That brings us to the 2% grant applications. They were-
No,
You got a bunch more.
Dean Bott.
here,
Some other appointments
just
there.
holler at me. Oops.
Land bank.
Trying to move this thing, I really am, guys.
I know you are.
I'm with you, Chairman.
Yeah, I know.
There you,
All right.
you want to use Dickies?
Oh, I got it. Okay, appointment recommendations. Dean Bott to serve on the land bank as the county administrator's controller's recommendation. And Peninsula Township new supervisor to replace Rob Manigold on the Board of Public Works. And the Townships Association has recommended Chuck Corn as their representative to the Brownfield Redevelopment Association. Can I have a motion to approve those three
Can we
appointments?
do all three?
Sure.
Sure.
Motion to approve Dean Bott, Pete Correa, and Chuck Korn, as stated.
Second. Motion by Rennie, supported by Lathrop. Further discussion? Those in favor? Chris?
You know, we had a member of the public here, Mr. Zernhelt, last week, who said he would really like us to, you know, read this. So just because of that, I'm going to read this, that Dean Bott's term on the land bank would be a 3-year term starting January 1st, 2014 through December 31st, 2016. Mr. Correa, as Peninsula Township Supervisor, his term would be effective January 1st, 2014 on the Board of Public Works through December 31st, 2014. And Mr. Korn, Supervisor Korn's term currently ends December 31st of this year, 2013, and we are recommending that he be reappointed to the Brownfield Redevelopment Association for a 3-year term, January 1st, 2014 through December 31st, 2016.
Authority.
I'm sorry,
It should be authority,
Brownfield
but it says
Redevelopment.
association.
It says association here, but you're
Thank you.
right, it's authority. Thank you. That's all.
Further discussion? All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
Yes, yes.
All those
Yes.
opposed say nay.
Yes.
I know. That's it. Follow instruction.
Okay, 2% grant money. You have a list on your desk. As per my previous
I know.
discussions.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a
The tribe
motion.
does not allow us to prioritize these. They just ask that we,
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to approve the resolution dated December 2013 on the 2% grant application, December 18th, 2013, to approve the tribal grant applications as presented to the Board of Commissioners.
What's the difference between what's on our table and what's in our,
First number.
the first number has been
The county.
changed.
all right, okay, good,
Yeah,
thank you.
that's a 2.58% increase
Perfect.
from last year.
Right.
Tax value.
Okay.
What we're paying is not going to.
I guess the only point is we have a motion by Inman supported by Lim Cool to approve the 2% grant applications as provided. I guess the only discussion that I would make is as we move forward with the new compacts in 2014, I certainly hope this process changes.
So I just would like to note that our county government is putting in there the $237,000, which is basically the payment in lieu of taxes that would be calculated. And I would hope that the tribe would recognize that to start the best part of the best foot forward for us to go into the future negotiations.
We have a motion made and seconded. Further discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carries. Unfinished business, we have none. New business, Don Sheehan has been very patient sitting here because he wants to spend money. I mean, because he wants to talk to us about New World software.
And I apologize for that. It's the New World Police software. I realized as I was reading through there, I'm used to working with the vendors so much that I didn't say that. And the software is used by dispatch, the jail, the county and city for the sheriff's office, detective bureau, their records. So it is pretty much, it's an all-encompassing application. And when we were talking to them earlier, and even earlier this year, we had thought that we would be able to upgrade to their latest release of software and not affect our server environment. But as we went through and they had some analysis tools, we ran those on our servers, and they came back. And we were running Windows 2003, but there's also a Release 2 version of it, which is really almost like a new version. And at that point, it was basically a server upgrade. And what they want to do then is they want to build a whole new server and migrate the data and software over onto the new ones. And by moving to the Windows 2008 or 2012, the latest versions of Microsoft, should set us up for the next 3 to 4 years at least for that environment. And so we do have a maintenance contract with them, but that provides all the software updates and our support for any current issues that we have. But here, they do require that they get involved in this and setting those servers up, configuring. They're estimating 3 to 4 weeks worth of work, approximately 2 to 3 people to do that work. So there is an additional service cost that they put onto that then. And there is also some GIS software that ties in with this that is used for the CAD, the mapping portion. And right now, they are actually at a lower level than our GIS department. We both use the same software, but this is integrated into their computer-aided dispatching application. And they said we did not have to do that GIS portion of it right now, but I would like to see it all done while we have their services involved in this project. So The money has not been budgeted, and that's, we're looking at these semi-rugged tough books for the sheriff's department. We have some potential savings. I can't say we've made a decision there yet. We have one in, they're testing it out. So far, it's looking good, but they've only had about a week on that laptop so far. But if we are able to go to that lower-end model, it's an approximate savings of $32,000 off what we were paying for the Panasonics. And so part of our goal would be to use that savings from those Panasonics towards this project to get the upgrade done.
Your pleasures. Dean, do you want to speak about the identification of the funding?
No, well, just to kind of offer some assistance to Don, Don came up with the idea to look at the tough books, and as he mentioned, we're not, I think those are still being tested. But because of how the IT fund is set up, generally you charge these costs back in your rates to the folks or the departments that use the system. We do have a fund balance in this fund. I really don't want to go that route at this point. That's kind of a fallback, but it would be great if those, they're MDTs, right?
Right.
We're hoping that works for us, and that is why Don recommended that. We talked about it, but, there is a chance that those don't work for us, and then we'll be looking at another means to finance this. But I think Don has indicated that this is something we need to do, and I do hope you support that and let us, if the tough books or if those laptops don't work, we'll come back and let you know what our other option would be. But we do have a fund balance in the IT fund that could cover this as well.
Do I have a motion? Motion by Rennie, supported by Lemkool to approve the IT department's recommendation for the New World Police software upgrade. Further discussion, Chris?
Don, is this the software that we've been having so much trouble getting information out of?
It is.
And
part of it is to get the latest version of the software on here to fix some of the reporting, and that's what they've said. That's in our next release of software, and so that's part of our goal has been to try to get this in.
So they are not willing to fix it. They want us to pay more money for them to fix it.
Well, basically,
even though they told us initially that they were going to fix it.
well, actually the fixes are in the new software that we put on. What this is the services, though, to help us upgrade our servers and get there to the point where we can put that new version of software on the system.
I see. All right, gotcha.
So I'm not going to tell you, though, that it's going to give you all the reporting that the jail really wants out of the system.
I got that part, yeah, okay.
I know.
But I just wanted to hear how we were coming with these people.
Good question, Commissioner Maxwell.
Gee, thanks. Golly gee.
So I know every time we put something on, we get something fixed and it breaks something else. So I'm not, that's, I already told him. I said, this is not going to be seamless. I won't tell you that, but.
All right.
Don, one quick question I had on page 2 of this package is the scope of work in regard to the city. Now, of this $31,000, will a portion of that be billed to the city police department?
Well, I would say that it should, based on some percentages, but I guess that's, what gets worked out there.
Because does city police pay indirect costs to us, Dean?
No, when Don, with Don's system and some of these applications that are unique to certain functions, he costs those costs are included in his rates. We're still talking to the city on this. That would be ultimately the best way to handle this, is to adjust your rates to cover, the increased costs, and we bill it back to all of the users of the system. That's how the fund is supposed to work, and we will try to do that.
Primary police, prosecutor, and courts that use this software, correct?
Well, the prosecutor and courts, they're only kind of like side users. It's not their application, it's just to access and look up. So it's really dispatch, the jail, police, sheriff are the primary users. And we do take all of what we consider the patrol mobile costs and what's considered records portion of the software as we're doing ongoing maintenance. We do bill that to the central records, and that's where the city pays a percentage of the central records budget.
Okay. Chris?
I have another question. Don, whenever we need something like this, I know you're looking at ways, for instance, the tough books versus the Dell. You're looking at ways where you can not increase the expense to the budget. And I appreciate that, but as we move forward with the 2014 budget, I would encourage you to take a look at as much as time permits. I know that's an awful way to put it.
We have gone through our equipment, and we've already pulled off, equipment that was 2009, and said we're not replacing that next year, and, we're always looking for where we
that's
can
all I
save.
had.
Okay. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carries.
Thank you, Don.
Thank you.
Merry Christmas.
This brings us to the second opportunity for public comment. Is there anyone wishing to make public comment at this time? Seeing none, Commissioner Committee reports? Herb?
Two items. Tomorrow morning, MDOT is going to be at the Road Commission announcing some major money coming into the Road Commission for a couple of projects. One of them, I believe, is Lafreniere Road, which would be really beneficial for us so that we may not have to cost share, which I think will be interesting. Wayne Schmidt called me and asked me to be there, so I'm looking forward to that announcement from the MDOT to funding for the Road Commission.
What time is that?
9
o'clock.
9 a.m. And then the other thing is on your desk, I have put a proposed possibility of a schedule to discuss on at our organizational meeting. And so I'd like to have input from each of you as to what your thoughts of this is. Basically, it says that we're going to go to 2 meetings a month, full Board of Commissioners. The reason why I'm doing this is because I think we should take the lead in starting to look at whether or not we can reduce our budget, and we can reduce 24 meetings for the clerk that has to be there, 24 meetings the prosecutor has to be there, 24 per diems from each of the commissioners for 7 commissioners, and also 24 times that we don't have to pay for our recording for a meeting. So there's a lot of benefits here to be able to start our budget reductions, and I think we ought to come to the plate first. So I'm looking forward to any input on this.
You never get your work done in 2 meetings.
Yeah, we will. We had 6 meetings canceled last year because we didn't have anything in it.
Well, half of the items that were on our agenda tonight, we've pulled and made them for immediate implementation anyway, so that would have, if it had been a Board of Commissioners meeting, we'd have been done with this.
Yep.
Chris?
And also 24 agendas that Chris won't have to put together. There's a huge ricochet on this whole opportunity, and that's why I'm encouraging us to do it.
Never work.
Chris?
Looking for your input.
Never work.
I would like to report that Commission on Aging has received another grant, and I believe it was $16,000. Don't hold me to that. And that will be coming to this board at a future meeting for acceptance.
Yeah, thank you. Anyone else? Okay, seeing none, notices and announcements. Reminder, we will meet on Thursday, the 26th, for the Board of Commissioners meeting, not on the last Wednesday of the month due to the Christmas holiday. We have an organizational meeting scheduled for January 2nd at 8 a.m. for the organizational meeting for 2014. If no one has any other further announcements, I guess the only other thing I announce would be Merry Christmas to all of the commissioners, staff, and community. And
Closed session?
We will have a closed session. We will entertain a motion to go into closed session in regard to settlement negotiations with the case of Ann Lawrence versus Grand Traverse County.
So moved.
Support.
We have a motion made and seconded. We we may anticipate having a decision coming out of this? Chris? No? Okay, we don't anticipate a decision coming out of this, so we'll have a roll call vote to go into closed session.
Thomas?
Yep.
Limkol?
Yep.
Max Bauer?
Yes.
Lathrop?
Yes.
Rennie?
Yes.
Inman?
Yep.
Wheelock?
Yes, ma'am. Okay.
You guys will have to give me a few minutes. I have some signatures to do. Wendy, you want to bring those?
Closed session, please.
So moved.
Second.
Motion
By Max Bauer.
Max Bauer, supported by Inman. Further discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Mr. Chairman, make a motion to adjourn.
Motion by Inman to adjourn, supported by Rennie. Further discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Good night. Merry Christmas, everyone.
Merry Christmas, everybody.